welcome to No Broken Legs. I am Evan Belfiore. Joining me on this sunny Thursday afternoon to discuss a crazy week for the Cleveland Browns is Jimmy Champ. Jimmy, welcome.
Man, brother, this has been kind of a crazy week in the NFL and for our Browns, but hopefully it all leads to a big Week 9 win.
Yeah, and the obvious story is Odell Beckham Jr. being, he kind of got like Andre Drummond, Ben Simmons, Kyrie Irving. Why don't you just go away for a little while?
Yeah.
So I guess we'll just recap very briefly. Apparently, OBJ swears he didn't have anything to do with the video his dad put together. I don't believe him. And apparently after that video went out, he just like ghosted Baker Mayfield and the Browns. They tried to get in touch with him. He didn't respond until he showed up for practice. That would be yesterday or the day before? And I don't know, Jimmy. Everything just fell apart from there. He was excused from the team, and it looks like they're just going to move forward without him. He's definitely not playing Sunday. What are your thoughts on the OBJ circus that seems to have finally folded up tents and is leaving town?
All right, so I want to start. So OBJ's dad did not make the video, so I want to start there because I'm sure we're going to be attacking OBJ and his family here.
Yeah,
so I want to be honest.
And just to be honest, as somebody who works with video and has for 20 years, I mean, it was put together really well, so whoever did it knew what they were doing.
Yeah, and I would hate to say that if you kept going through and finding out it's somebody that is involved with Clutch Sports, I don't know. It's just a thought. I don't know. But, OBJ's dad did not make the video, but he did share it all over social media, made plenty of comments. Other people commented. Dwayne Bowe even felt like chiming in, saying the same thing happened to him in Cleveland. So that got a chuckle out of me.
Dwayne Bowe came into camp out of shape, overweight, and wasn't any good.
No, but then it was fun to see Baker's wife and Odell's dad fight on social media. That was enjoyable. Odell not responding to the team was rough, and then you had beat reporters. You had beat reporters who are very locked into the team saying the Browns may very well have traded Odell, except that their own medical staff said there's no way he would have passed the physical.
Yeah, I forgot who reported that. It might have been Jason Lloyd, but it might have been somebody else that I heard on 92.3 just very, very plainly said he can't pass a physical with his shoulder.
Yeah, so at that point, at that point there was no reason to try to trade him, but you can't, the fact that he won't reach out to Odell or he won't reach out to Baker, he won't reach out to the team. Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry did the right thing. Send him home. We saw Baker and the team play better without him last year. Maybe that will happen again, but I understand now. I do also want to be fair. Everybody that was reporting from the organization around the team yesterday said Odell showed up to practice on time. He was ready to practice. He wasn't in a foul mood or anything, and the team chose to send him home, which was probably the right thing to do. Me and you have kind of been going back and forth. Like, we both think Odell is certainly past his prime. We're just arguing about what the hell his prime actually was, But this is a lot. This is a lot of stuff for a guy whose most recent memories with this team is him dropping important fourth down passes and choosing to not catch balls. And when your team took the lead in a game against their arch rival, you walked off the field like it didn't even matter to you. So that was before this happened. So that makes it hard. And I think just the right thing for Cleveland to do is to deactivate him, sit him down, and go about your business. And hopefully Donovan Peoples-Jones is healthy and you can go win some football games without OBJ.
Yeah, and just a quick review of who Odell Beckham Jr. is. His first 3 seasons in the league, he was a star. 1,300 yards, 1,400 yards, 1,300 yards, 12, 13, and 10 touchdowns, respectively, to start his career. And then he got hurt. And since he's been hurt, the 2 seasons that he's played more than half the season are basically identical. 77 and 74 catches, 1,050-ish yards, 6 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns. He's just been hurt the last 2 years. He doesn't even have, what has he got? 551 the last 2 years on 40 catches. So I've come around to the point that he's just not a star anymore. He's just a guy. Can he be okay? Yeah, but is he going to have his mind right to just be a guy? Because we saw him last week. He had a chance to make a spectacular play and show that he's OBJ, and he didn't even attempt it. He was too worried about getting hit, and he was probably too worried about not making the play and looking like a fool, which, ironically, he looks like a fool now. So I don't know exactly why people keep talking about OBJ like he's a superstar. I haven't seen it. Even when he catches the ball, there doesn't seem to be a lot of burst with his first step. He's not super evasive. Has Baker missed him this year? Of course he has. But we also don't know what those play calls are. And there's a number of... That 11-minute video has a lot of plays that are clearly designed plays for somebody else. So kind of scratch those off. And the rest of them, do we know OBJ's where he's supposed to be? Is that what's going on here? Because he's been criticized for freelancing in the past. And we know Stefanski's offense is specifically designed, it's timing in place. Here's where you're supposed to be at this time. And if you're not there, it can really throw things off. And in general, I just, at this point, I think they should cut him. I don't think they are, because the NFL is working very hard to prevent players from doing what they do in the NBA. James Harden last year is a good example of this, where he was just a piece of shit on the team, and they were like, fine, we can't have you here anymore. You got to go. So do you think they work out something with the $8 million left on his contract to release him? Because if he's not giving back any money, they're not going to release him.
No, I don't think they do. I think he's going to sit the rest of the year as a Cleveland Brown. That's what I think. I don't think there's going to be any. It wouldn't surprise me if there's no more communication between him and the team. It really wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I believe I read reports that he did show up to the team today, and they sent him home again. Like, I don't think there's going to be any negotiation. I think the Browns are unfortunately going to pay him the rest of the money on the contract, and he's going to sit at home and hopefully miss the playoffs again.
Wow. All right. Can this be the last time we talk about OBJ this season, unless he comes back onto the field or they cut him?
It can definitely be the last. We didn't have to talk about him today. Shit.
Well, I felt like we at least had to round that up. So let's move on.
Yeah, we probably did.
And I guess one last final point on OBJ for everybody, so that we can kind of transition here to looking ahead for the Browns. Colin Cowherd had a really good analogy for what's going on. If you're a fan and you want to look forward and try and find a silver lining, this is incredibly similar to what happened with Dak Prescott and Dez Bryant. Wide receiver towards the end of his career, not quite as good as he was, injury prone, doesn't always make catches when you need him to, and there are a lot of eerie parallels here. So hopefully what we can see with Baker is he can grow from this like Dak did and take that next step that we were hoping he would take this year.
Yeah.
Let's start by just taking a quick look at the schedule, Jimmy. We have Browns have the Bengals this weekend. Next weekend they get the Patriots. And then they still have 2 against the Ravens, the Raiders, the Packers, another one against the Bengals, the Steelers, and then they have a Lions game thrown in there that should be a win. The nice thing about the schedule right now, there are some difficult teams on there. These are all teams that Cleveland's going to have to beat to put themselves in position to make the playoffs. It's a little tough looking at the schedule coming up, but the Browns also have everything in their own hands.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, if the Browns continue to play how they're playing right now, there may only be 2 or 3 wins left on the schedule. But we expect the Browns to grow from what they've gone through this year, and their talent beat the other team's talent when they're more talented. They got to win at least one against Baltimore, and they can still go to the playoffs.
Amen. Let's take a look at the injury report before we get into what's going on with the game Sunday. This was updated this morning. They have not updated for Thursday practice yet, but the following players did not practice yesterday: Jadeveon Clowney, Jack Conklin, Malik Jackson, John Johnson III, Jarvis Landry, Malik McDowell, and Tack McKinley all did not practice. On the good side, Jedrick Wills, Denzel Ward, J.C. Treader, your boy DPJ, and AJ Green were all limited in practice, which means they will probably play on Sunday. Even if they're limited on Wednesday, they're probably going to play on Sunday. Cincinnati's center did not practice yesterday, Jimmy, Trey Hopkins. Other than that, their injury sheet is pretty light. There's a couple of backups that aren't going to play, but the Browns, as they probably will for the rest of the season, come into this game a lot more beat up than the Bengals are.
Yeah, there are a couple injuries there that are just problems. You got to kind of wonder, where does Jarvis sit with the Odell stuff? Will that affect how healthy he gets for Sunday? We've talked about it. Clowney needs to be on the field every week, so Clowney needs to be okay. And John Johnson needs to be healthy for this game. Like, John Johnson is a big deal for this secondary. When he's played well, the secondary has played well. So we need John Johnson. And then I wonder about the interior of the defensive line. Maybe it was injuries that were the reason that Pittsburgh was able to kind of bully the interior of the defensive line. So hopefully a lot of those guys practice or at least limited today and are able to get run on Sunday.
Let's get into this game. The Cincinnati Bengals are home. They are hosting the Cleveland Browns, and they are 2.5-point favorites. The over-under sits at 47. Let's start with the Browns on offense. There's obviously not going to be any OBJ. We don't know if Jarvis Landry is going to play. He looked out of sorts last week anyway, so I'm not sure if he's even healthy, regardless of where his mind's at with OBJ. How do you want to see this Browns offense attack the Bengals?
All right, so here's the thing, right? So there's kind of a parallel I want to go at with Cincinnati's defense. So Tampa Bay gets thrown on a lot because their run defense is really good. So it makes their pass defense look even worse because their run defense is so good. That's not the case with Cincinnati. Cincinnati doesn't get ran on very much because their pass defense is really, really bad. I don't think their run defense is actually that good. It's just been so easy for teams to pass on them. They haven't faced a lot of carries. That being said, Coach Stefanski, even after last week, you're still leading the league in rushing yards, and you have the best yards per carry in the league at over 5 yards. Run the ball. Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. Establish running the ball to set up the pass. If you lose this game, it needs to be because the Bengals consistently stopped Chubb and Johnson on first down from getting the team into positive game script. Stay away from that empty shit. And if you're going to go with your 3 tight end set, at least throw out of it sometime, at least run out of it sometime. Don't be totally one-dimensional when you get in a certain look. You need to mix that up. Like, the Bengals defense has to be reeling after what just happened to them against the Jets. Like, take advantage of that, but do it your way. Run the football. It's what you do well. Do it over and over again to let Baker throw footballs after that. Make it super simple. Make it 1-2 read, go. Like, that's what Baker needs. Yeah, I think maybe, I don't know what's going on with him. He keeps, the hitch and the pump fake on everything. Make it super simple. Make it 2-man routes. Make it look like Tennessee's offense when Derrick Henry was rolling last year and Ryan Tannehill only had 2 wide receivers to choose from. Something like that. But they've got to control the line of scrimmage, especially on this side of the ball. You've got to limit possessions for Joe Burrow. You don't want to get in another game like you had with the Chargers. You've got to keep the ball out of Burrow's hand, and you do that by running the clock, running way more plays than they do, control the game flow, make it how you want. Script a good game plan, and then don't go away from it after Cincinnati touches the ball once.
Yeah, they have to, and we've talked about it the last couple of weeks. You're a running football team. Just go out there and run the ball on them. Make them stop you. Just do what you do and stop trying to outsmart them with the I know what you know that I know crap.
Yep.
And he just needs to develop a game plan that just says, this is what we do, and we're just going to do it and make you stop us. Because I don't think teams can stop them running the ball, because I didn't feel like they ran the ball very good last week against Pittsburgh, and they still averaged 4.3 a carry.
Exactly.
So they really need to just stick to that, and they need to stick to their guns, and I think that's an identity that they can get behind.
Yep.
Do you worry about the lack of receivers? If Donovan's People-Jones, if DPJ and Landry can't go, they're really going to have to focus on those 3 tight end sets, because there's not going to be anybody else to catch the ball, Jimmy.
Yeah, but that might not be bad, because at times this year, Bryant and Njoku have looked like the 2 best wide receivers on the team.
That is a very good point. It's a very good
point.
And
hopefully that gets our boy Felton involved a little bit more as well.
Yeah, I still just don't understand why he's not on the field more. I'm not calling for him to get 15 touches, but he needs to be on the field more, and he needs to be more than a decoy running backwards that they never give the ball to on that play.
Yep, I completely agree.
When the Bengals have the ball, how do you want to see this Browns defense attack them?
So I think that's the key word, right, is attack. Because Browns fans, myself included, the Browns still have a good defense. Like, in every metric, the Browns are still really good. We just can't get past some of those broken coverages where we've seen quarterbacks have like 8 to 10 seconds to throw the football. So I would like to see aggression, but that comes from how healthy is the secondary. Because you can't be super aggressive if you've got 4th and 5th string guys covering these good wide receivers for Cincinnati. But if the secondary is mostly healthy, they need to run some blitzes. We talked about it. Move Miles around on the line. Put Garrett and Clowney on the same side, and then bring a blitz off the other side. Try to confuse this really bad offensive line and get in there and smack Joe Burrow in the mouth. That's how you beat the Bengals. It's been proven over the last 2 years. That's how you slow down Joe Burrow. That's how you beat this Bengals team, and that's what they need to do. Something I really do want to look for the defense is maybe one of these really high-drafted secondary players or one of these really well-paid free agent secondary members. Maybe get an interception and actually gain some yards from it.
Yeah, they had an interception in their hands that Roethlisberger threw, and what was it? Was it Delpit and Jackson that both I mean, either one of them could have picked it off, and they both just got in each other's way, which was a bummer. And that's a big thing that you touched on there, Jimmy. The Browns defense has been playing relatively okay. They definitely don't get the benefit of the doubt because the offense has been bad and they've given up some leads. But really, if they could just get a turnover, even just one any of these games, you probably take a touchdown off the board for the other team and add some points to the Browns, and that could really swing things. They just haven't been making any big plays.
Yeah, I mean, the Bengals have 7 interceptions on the season for over 150 yards off of those picks. Cleveland has 3 for 0 yards. Like, that's a problem. And the thing in this game is you're going to have opportunities because Joe Burrow doesn't believe his wide receivers are ever covered. Like, he's going to throw the ball to Jamar Chase.
Against the Browns, they might not be.
You're right. And I do think, though, you really touch on something there. This has to be the learning moment, right? You cannot have those blown coverages that you had against your other explosive offenses. You cannot have wide receivers running down the middle of the field just open. Like, keep a body on them. Hopefully you don't pick up that PI call, but keep a body on them, be physical with them, and maybe get your hands on a football. Like, that has to come just from the guys in the secondary just doing their job and playing a little better than they have been. They haven't been bad except for in a couple key spots, but they need to just be a little bit better.
So last week when Ward was out, Newsome took top coverage duties, and Pittsburgh tested him, and they got him once or twice, but he got them more. Do you think Newsome should get the assignment of Chase, or would you still go with Ward in that role, even though he's coming off an injury?
I think, because we know Newsome was a little banged up as well, I think whichever one of them is healthy needs to probably be on Chase, and there should probably be a safety over top of it as well. But I would love to see Newsome in that role, right? Because this is a battle we're probably going to be seeing for the next 5 to 10 years in the division. So I would prefer to just start it now and put Newsome on him. Newsome has played really well. And if Newsome can kind of contain Chase and you get Denzel Ward on a number 2 wide receiver, you can really limit, right? You can really, really limit what the offense could do.
I think last week was telling when it comes to Myles Garrett. He got his sack and he made some plays, but he's not a game wrecker like TJ Watt is. He's just not. He's not doing that this year. He showed that early last year. Shit, he started out the season. Each game he had a sack with a forced fumble. He's not causing turnovers. They need him to step up and start causing some turnovers, whether it's hitting quarterbacks as they're throwing the ball or causing fumbles. He's got to take that step up. And I think a big part of that is something that we've talked about before. Joe Woods, you can move Myles Garrett all over the line. Like, he can be anywhere. He doesn't just have to be on the same side, split wider from the line every single play. You can move him around. Like, if Clowney's out there, you can put the two of them together on an end. Like, there's all sorts of stuff you can do. But Joe Woods has got to start doing something because Myles Garrett is just getting double teamed basically on every play, if not triple teamed, because they're always chipping him. Because anytime you see Garrett one-on-one with a lineman, he's just fucking destroying them. And
yeah, it's really hard to wreck a game plan when you're getting held a lot and trying to get loose. But
yeah, so I think Joe Woods needs to find ways to get him in one-on-one matchups.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I do think the easiest way to do it, like without disturbing what he wants to do, is to just put him and Clowney on the same side. Put Garrett down and stand Clowney up and put them both there, and you're going to get some good matchups in. You're going to get some confusion. But I agree with you. The Browns right now, they need their superstars to be superstars, so you need Myles Garrett to pop. I completely agree with you.
All right. Let's make our picks, Jimmy. So it's weird how the line's set up at 2.5. Normally the home team gets 3, so I guess on a neutral field, Vegas still thinks Cleveland's a half point better. What are you expecting the final outcome to be Sunday?
Oh, I'm taking the Browns. They're going to win this game outright. This really wasn't a hard pick. I don't think the Steelers are any good, but I still think the Steelers are better than the Jets. So I have not, and it's probably just my personal bias because I don't think the Bengals are as good as their record suggests. So I'm taking the Browns here. I think the Browns are going to win this game. So give me the Browns with the 2.5.
We saw last year when OBJ was when he was hurt and he was just gone and they didn't have to worry about whether or not he was going to play. They just knew he wasn't. That was when the offenses looked its best with Baker. I also think that this is one of those where when you have a pain in the ass in the locker room and things are going poorly, whether or not OBJ is the sole cause of all of the problems, and let's be honest, he's not the sole cause of the problems, but they can just make him a scapegoat, push him to the side, rally together, and just move on. And I think the new Browns move on. I think they come out and play well. God forbid if they come out and lay another egg. This will be a very different conversation that we have on Monday, but I'm with you. I think they're going to win this game. I think they come out and they just look better. They just look more in sync. You get the weight of OBJ off your shoulder. The circus has left town, and I think the team just moves on. And we can put OBJ to bed, and we can put the curse of John Dorsey to bed.
Yep, I agree with all of that.
But man, if they go out there and look like shit, it's going to be a rough Monday, man.
Yeah, for sure. Going
to be turning off all the national networks.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, well, let's take a look at the rest of the games that we have for Week 9 in the NFL. It's another week where we don't really have a lot of great games. The one really, really good game that we were looking for is COVID decided to take that out, or Aaron Rodgers' idiocy with the vaccine, depending on how you want to look at that. So let's start. The Baltimore Ravens, they are home. They are taking on the Minnesota Vikings, who lost to Connor Rush last week. The spread sits at 6. The over-under is 49.5. I like Baltimore. They looked okay coming off the bye, but Minnesota just lost to Connor Rush, so how could I not take the Ravens given 6 points here? I'm making it a lock.
Yeah, it's a lock for me as well. I still think the Vikings do have a chance at the playoffs, but this is going to be 2 tough losses for them in a row. Baltimore is better, I think, in every aspect, and the amount they are better in the coaching aspect is like unquantifiable.
Yeah, they're 3-4. They sit tied for the 8th spot. They're just on the outside looking in, but I don't think they're going to get in. They look like they do last year, that they're just not. They're just a middling team, and I think Zimmer might be getting canned at the end of the year.
Yeah, that's a fair bet.
Our next game is the Monday night affair. The Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be home. They are taking on the Chicago Bears. They are also 6-point favorites. The over-under here sits at 40. This team put up 15 against the Browns, and I think Chicago's at least as good defensively. So I will again say I don't know how Pittsburgh beats anybody by 6. I'll take Chicago.
Yeah, this is I love Chicago, and I love the money line at plus 220 because I think the Bears will have a chance to win this game. You know, with the exception of the Cardinals, who had the Texans the next week, the other teams that have beat Cleveland have lost the next week. So I think that trend will continue with Pittsburgh, and I think Chicago gets a win here.
Man, I hope they do. All right, the aforementioned game between Kansas City and Green Bay. The Chiefs are home. This is a 7.5-point spread right now. If you were wondering how much Aaron Rodgers is worth, this was a 1-point spread that then went to 7.5. So he's worth about a touchdown. The over-under sits at 48.5. I'm going to take Kansas City here because Green Bay doesn't have Rodgers. If Kansas City can't win this game, I guess I've said this like 4 or 5 times, but if they can't beat a Aaron Rodgers-less Green Bay Packers, they're cooked.
Oh, yeah, they're going to win the game. I'm also taking them at -7. It's hard to say where it'll be, but just really frustrating that Aaron Rodgers robbed us of this football game, man.
Yeah, it's just a bummer. Our next game is the Buffalo Bills. They are traveling to Jacksonville to take on the woeful Jaguars. They are 14.5-point favorites. The over-under sits at 48.5. And the only thing I worry about in this game is a possible Jacksonville backdoor cover, but I think the Bills just put a whooping on them. I'm taking them as a lock, and I like the over on this too, Jimmy.
Yep, I agree with everything you just said.
This is like another one of those games where it's like, Buffalo could put 35 up by themselves and easily get to the over-under.
Yep.
Moving on to tonight's game, the Indianapolis Colts are hosting the New York Jets. This is a 10.5-point line, Jimmy. The over-under sits at 46. What do you make of this?
I don't like this game one bit. I'm gonna take Indy, but I have no confidence in it. I don't. This may be a game I don't watch very much of. I'm not interested in these two teams.
Well,
so I really just don't know which way to lean.
You're not excited to watch the second outing of what's his name, Michael White or whatever?
No, I'm not.
I'm gonna take the Jets. They're playing hard, and I just don't trust Indianapolis, and I really don't trust Indianapolis to beat anybody by 10.
It's understandable.
Our next game is the LA Rams are home. They are taking on the Tennessee Titans, who do not have Derrick Henry, moving for at least a couple of weeks. The Rams are 7.5-point favorites. The over-under sits at 53.5. This is the Sunday night game, Jimmy, and I'm excited to watch it because I think the Rams roll. I'm taking them in a lock. I don't know if we'll see Von Miller in this game, though.
Yeah, it seems like they're trying to get Von Miller cleared to play. We'll have to see. I very much wish King Henry was healthy for at least one more game to make my Rams win so much sweeter.
But it's a really good game if Henry was in.
It's a lock for me as well. The Rams are playing really good. I imagine the Titans are going to try to come out and sling the ball all over the field, and that's not going to go well for them. So it's going to be a fun game to watch, but give me the Rams.
Yeah, we'll see how – we'll really get a look at how good Julio Jones is in that Tennessee uniform, which he hasn't really done a whole lot.
Nope.
Our next game is the Arizona Cardinals. They're taking the short trip west to the San Francisco Bay. The spread here is 1, Jimmy. The over-under is 46. I don't understand why the Cardinals are only 1-point favorites here. Can you explain this to me?
Yeah, a lot of reports out west say Kyler is pretty banged up, and if he plays, he's not 100%. So that's what's going on with the line. Because of that, I'm going to take the 49ers. If I thought Kyler was healthy, I'd be hammering the Cardinals, but it does not seem like Kyler is healthy. So give me the Cardinals, or give me the 49ers.
All right. I still like the Cardinals. There's just that San Francisco team doesn't look right. They don't look good offensively. They don't seem to know. It's almost like Shanahan is coaching the offense for both quarterbacks. Like he's scheming for both quarterbacks, so everything looks disjointed. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't like how that team's playing, and I think Shanahan's message might be getting a little stale in that locker room after a couple of years.
I would agree.
Our next game, we'll have the Dallas Cowboys, who should have Dak Prescott back. They are hosting the Denver Broncos. They are 9.5-point favorites, so clearly Vegas thinks Dak will be back. 49.5 is the over-under. What do you like here, Jimmy?
Well, I think the Cowboys might be the third or fourth best team in the NFC. They're playing really well. I think it will be cheap and disgusting, but I do think Denver will cover this in the end. But Dallas will win easily.
Going with a backdoor cover.
Yeah, I think Dallas is going to be very disengaged by the fourth quarter of a game they've dominated, and I think Denver is going to sneak in and cover.
I'll take Dallas here. I think with Dak back, that offense is going to look really good. I don't think that Denver defense is very good. They just lost Von Miller, and it seems like Denver's throwing the towel in on the season.
Yeah, for sure. This will be that's another team that'll be looking for a coach next year. This has got to be Fangio's last year.
Yeah, and there a lot of reports say they're going to make a big run at Aaron Rodgers over the offseason, so we'll see what that says. But for Denver, it looks like they've packed it up.
Yep.
The Las Vegas Raiders, Jimmy, they just have all this drama off the field. Now, Ruggs, I believe, was released. It's just an awful situation. He was driving drunk and going about 160 miles an hour when he hit another vehicle and killed a person. The legal system will figure all of that stuff out, but Ruggs is not going to be playing. What is just another hit for Vegas. How do you think they're going to respond?
Yeah, I don't think they will respond to this one quite as well as they did the last one. I think they're going to drop a game to the Giants here. I'm taking the Giants. You have it at 3 still?
Yeah, it's still sitting at 3.
Yeah, I'm taking the Giants at +3 and the money line at +130. I think the Giants are going to win this one outright.
Yeah, I'll take the Giants too. I figured that Vegas could respond to the John Gruden stuff pretty well. I don't know how they're going to respond to this, and Ruggs has been pretty good for them, so losing him is going to be a big part of this. And I think Vegas is going to fade as the year goes on, so I think that starts now.
Yep, I agree.
Another team that's faded the last couple of weeks is the LA Chargers. They were riding high. There were a lot of national people trying to have the Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes conversation, and all of those people look pretty silly right now. They're traveling east to Philadelphia. They will take on the Eagles, where they are 2.5-point favorites. The over-under sits at 50. Jimmy, I haven't been able to pick Philadelphia right all fucking year, so I'll just go ahead and pick them here because the Chargers don't look right now, so I don't know how traveling across the country is going to make things better.
Well, I think unless you're the Detroit Lions, if you're not looking right, playing Philly has worked out pretty well for you. So I'm gonna take the Chargers and make it a lock.
Yeah, I don't like Jalen Hurts, but I don't know what to do with the Philadelphia Eagles. They look like two different teams every other week.
Yeah.
Our next matchup is a lock for me. I'm going to be taking the New England Patriots as they travel to take on the Carolina Panthers. They're 3.5-point favorites. The over-under sits at 41. Just Bill Belichick against Sam Darnold or whoever else is going to be out there. That's a lock for me.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be P.J. Walker instead of Sam Darnold, but I'm with you. This is a lock. I also love the under in this one as well.
Yeah. Mac Wilson's still getting a lot of talk, and he has been pushing the ball downfield, but his accuracy numbers have been dreadful lately. So I don't know how much more they're going to be able to develop out of him, but I guess we'll see.
Yep.
My last lock of the week is the New Orleans Saints. They're taking on the Atlanta Falcons. I thought the Atlanta Falcons were going to be the surprise team in the NFC South. That team has ended up being the Saints. The Saints are 6-point favorites. Over-under sits at 42. This is just a Sean Payton bet, Jimmy.
Yeah, I got no problem with that. I'm curious to see what the Saints do at quarterback, but I've been wrong on the Saints. I keep wanting to be down on them. The defense is playing too good to think Atlanta's going to be able to keep this to a touchdown. So I agree with you. I'll take the Saints as well.
Fucking Sean Payton, man. No Drew Brees. He wins.
Yep.
Jameis Winston goes down. Doesn't matter. Trevor Siemian. Yeah, I can win with him. Why not?
Yep.
It's very impressive. This last game is between two teams that have not been very impressive this year. The Miami Dolphins are home for the Houston Texans. My God, they're 6.5-point favorites, Jimmy. The over-under sits at 46. Since the trade deadline's gone and they don't have Watson, is Miami going to be able to calm down?
I don't know. This one, man, all the sharps are all over Miami, but it's just hard for me to believe Miami can beat anybody by almost a touchdown. So I'm taking Houston, and I'm probably going to throw some money at the plus 230 money line for Houston as well, because Houston could win this game 2-0. Like, I mean, I have no idea what's going to happen in this game. This is one I don't want to watch. This is going to be ugly football. Miami might squeak out a win, but I am going to take Houston at plus 6.5.
Yeah, I'll take Houston too, and I think that 46 over-under is way too high.
Yeah, I agree. That's a big under there as well.
That's a lot of points for two bad offenses. I mean, that looks like they're expecting this to be like a 28-21 type game, or maybe 26-21. I don't know how either of these teams scores 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, that's the slate, Jimmy. What are your any final thoughts here on Week 9? Any games you're particularly looking at besides the Browns?
I think it's right now it's just time to look at the division games. I mean, I don't really see any way Minnesota beats Baltimore, but just pulling for the Bears on Monday night, hoping they can get one on the Steelers, the Chargers. But I do think you kind of hit it with the Chargers. They need, people were really starting to push them up, and they've played down a little bit. So I'm interested about the Chargers, and then seeing what the Chiefs better dominate an Aaron Rodgers-less team. Like,
you would think they would, but they barely got by the fucking Giants.
Yeah, and if not, I mean, it's hard to say what you've got going on there, but I'm just interested for this Browns game, I like to lean on stats, and one thing that stats don't really show is, that thing you can't really quantify of which team seems to want it more and play harder. And it looks like that's how Pittsburgh won last week. They just wanted it more. So this week for Cleveland, it can't be about the X's and O's. It's got to be the Jimmies and the Joes, right? The players have to come out. The players have to just come out and be physical and be aggressive without doing dumb Harrison shit. They've got to be aggressive, and they've just got to want it more, and they got to go win this football game.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the Bengals respond after laying an egg again. Well, they didn't really lay an egg, but defensively, they really blew that game.
Yeah.
Can Kansas City dominate? What does Pittsburgh look like against Chicago? I mean, I guess I'm kind of interested in what goes on in Arizona, San Francisco, but I feel I've got a handle on who San Francisco is.
Yeah, but their games have at least been entertaining.
Oh, that's true. Anything else you want to throw in?
No, I don't think so. I think we hit. It was kind of there was really a wild kind of day. Like I do want to give you credit for something that I didn't see happening, but you kind of said it would probably happen. The Rams dropped my boy Deshaun Jackson. So
let me guess, he's hurt again.
Yeah, he couldn't quite stay healthy, so they just went ahead and cut him. So that made me sad.
I mean, it's not like they need him. They've got like 4 good receivers already, or 3 good receivers with Cup, Bobby Trees, and who's the third one there, Jimmy? Help me out.
The young man Van Jefferson, and then you've got Tyler Higbee, who's playing really well at tight end as well.
Oh, that's right. It's the tight end. That's who I was trying to think of. He's just he's not one of the best tight ends in the league, but he's just a really solid player. All right. Well, that is the slate for Week 9 in the NFL. We will be back on Monday to recap what we hope is a Cleveland Browns win over the Cincinnati Bengals. Jimmy, We'll do it then, but thank you for joining me this afternoon.
No place I'd rather be, brother.
Alrighty, and thank you for listening. For Jimmy Champ, I'm Evan Belfiore, and we are No Broken Legs.